to it as we go through. So today I'm going to be revealing the agenda for you, but the title there you can see on screen, I hope. Could I just get a thumbs up and a yes that you can see the slide on screen? Emma saying yes, amazing, thank you very much. So today is all around how you can use LinkedIn and live webinars to be able to grow your business. And over the last 6 years that I've been doing this, we've consulted on over 1,300 different campaigns. We know that because we track every single one that we work on. And I'm also speaking to people, 20 to 30 different businesses every single week at the moment. And that is a combination of people that want to work with us, customers, and also people which I'm just looking to do a bit of market research on. I'm spending lots of time talking to people. And what I want to take you through it are some of the reasons why people struggle to sell consistently. Now, this is very different to the way that I normally run my workshops, because actually when I'm having these conversations, and some of you might be able to agree with this and relate to it at the same time, but this business world at the moment, if you compare it to a couple of years back, and even just 6 months ago, there have been some quite significant changes in buying behavior, in the way that industries are working, in the sales cycles, so the time that it takes for people to make decisions. And it seems like people are finding it tougher to be able to generate clients. Now, can I just check with the room? Are people feeling that right now? Finding it a little bit more difficult to be able to get what they used to for the efforts that they've been putting in? Because I know lots of people are. We're in a very fortunate position, and I'm going to be sharing the exact reasons to why that is as we go through. But it's really nice to see that actually you're probably not alone when it comes to this. And what I'm seeing time and time again, and you will see this on LinkedIn, you'll see this on social media, I'm sure, but this world at the moment is just filled with misleading, contradicting, and damaging advice. And people are just doing the wrong things, which I'm not going to sit here and blame you, right, for the whole of this session. But what I am going to do is share with you from my point of view and my team's point of view what's working. And I'm then going to back it up with data as well, so you can see why, and also then understand how you can make the changes yourself. Most of those 1,000 businesses that I've spoken to are hugely skilled people. There's a number of you that are consultants on here. I can see from your Zoom names, right? And I know that if you've been in this profession for a little while now, you're going to have gained certain skills that make you highly qualified. And with that, the one thing that I'm finding that lots of people are struggling with is how to sell themselves, almost like how to position their business to get business coming to them, but also how do they go out and get it themselves? And I spend that many hours every single week talking to businesses about this subject, sharing with them the different processes that we use. And people, from what I'm hearing, are struggling to find the right people to trust. Now, again, I'd love to know if you agree with this or you disagree. So if you agree with this, struggle to find people to trust in this space, put agree. If you don't, put disagree. I don't mind what your answers are. I'm just genuinely curious to understand whether this information is accurate following the number of conversations that I've had. But people are trying to find the reassurance, trying to find the guidance, and are struggling to work out what works. And work ethic right now, I was only speaking to a lady a couple of days ago. She is doing all of the right things, right? So she's on LinkedIn, posting, network building, sending messages. She's running webinars. She's doing events. She feels like she's trying harder than she ever has before. She's got more belief in herself than ever before, but the results are worse than ever. And there are some key reasons which I've actually built into today's presentation. So if she's watching this on the replay, she'll see them, or if she's live here, then even better. But I have built these certain information points into today so we can all benefit from them. Because again, for me, in my position, I want to share with you what's working, what isn't, and then the context as to why, because it is challenging. Like, I'm not going to sit here and say that this stuff is easy, but it isn't all doom and gloom, right? There are positives to this. This is a cycle. It happens. Do you know what? A few years ago, we had a bit of a bubble, right? We had a bit of a bubble where people were freely spending. They weren't being as considerate and thoughtful with their decisions. People had a bit more money. Businesses had a bit more money. They weren't national insurance charges coming on. There weren't all these things that are happening. I think the latest thing is Trump's tariffs having a big impact everywhere. But there are certain things that are really working, but there are things that people are doing that aren't anymore. There are some things that you need to be aware of, and having those conversations with people that you can trust. And you can ask me anything, right? I'll give you my honest answer. I'll give you the direct truth of what I believe is right and what I believe is wrong, and then give you, again, the reasons as to why. But today's session is going to be quite detailed. So make sure that you've got notes handy. If you have any questions, the Q&A section is where I want you to ask them. And with this, what should I say, with these challenges, where I want to start is kind of like right at the beginning with this, because social media has this expectation that if you're doing nothing and then you begin doing something, you'll end up getting the result. And the stuff that I'm going to be sharing with you today, I've spoken at countless events in person. I've also done webinars like this for a very long time. And the truth, looking at all of the different campaigns that I've analyzed and all of the different activity that people are doing, is that people are just wasting. And to be fair, I've done this as well in the past, right? It's not just you, I've done it as well. But wasting so many hours on social and then hoping that something happens. They might be sending invitations to build their networks. That's something that you're told to do on LinkedIn, right? You might be posting content, because if you post enough content, you're going to generate some inbound leads. You might be sending some messages, right, to your dream clients, waiting for them to respond to you. Some of you might be doing in person as well as online as well. So going to networking events, but suddenly, where maybe it was giving you a little bit of something before, now it's dried up. And you're like, well, I'm doing everything all of these people are telling me to do. What should I do differently? That's what this session is about, because what I believe most people have, and this, again, is totally fine if it's not you, but if it is you, you don't have to tell me. I just want you to now take a step back and have a think. Most people that I'm speaking to right now have a scattergun approach. So I'll try a little bit of this, try a little bit of that. Do you know what? I'm going to throw the spaghetti at the wall, see what sticks. And if it sticks, I'm going to do more of it. If you're in that position, what I want you to do is just have a think about how you can start to connect this activity together, because connection is going to be the big thing that we're going to be focusing on today. People doing the above, right? The sending the invitations, doing all of this work. Hey, like I'm in marketing, right? So I'm marketing and sales. It's my job to do and figure out ways to make this stuff work. You guys aren't in marketing and sales. There might be a few of you that are, and have agencies of your own. But for those of you that are doing consulting, for those of you that have got other services, you didn't sign up to this to be a full-time sales and marketer. I get that. I get told that a lot. It's all right for you because you're in marketing and sales, right? I understand it. Because when I was doing that, I felt stuck. And the advice that then I was getting a number of years ago was that, do you know what? I'm just not good enough. My content's rubbish. Right? And Neil should be curious. Has anyone received this sort of advice before? Content's not good enough. You're not trying hard enough. You've not remained consistent for long enough. Right? That was stuff that I got told. And I'm sitting here and I'm like, my content's not that bad. And I know that I'm doing everything that I've been taught to do in lots of detail. I'm putting in the hours. Like, it's not that. The problem is got to be something different. And so I went away and started to have a look at different things and the ways to approach things. And if you have been to one of my webinars before, you'll know that I spend very little time talking about myself, right? But what I want you to know at this stage is that you are not alone when it comes to being in a position where you don't quite have the answers, right? There are hundreds of you out there. There's over 100 of you online right here, right now, right? And there'll be a large proportion of you that are all struggling with it. Now, I've documented my journey online for the last 6 years. So for the last 6 years, I have been posting content, testing all of these different things. And I'm going to be giving you my LinkedIn account QR code very shortly. And I want you to come and connect with me. One, because I want to see what you're doing day to day, but also because I'm going to be running a little bit of like a prize draw that I do on the majority of my workshops, right? But I have done all of the things that I've just mentioned, posting, messaging, networking. But the one thing that I lacked was one of the, again, another key word. I want you to write this down if you're taking notes, but the word control. Control is what enables you to be able to grow consistently. That's what I've found, right? So the moment I start putting in metrics, targets, objectives, process, suddenly I will then realize that my social activity can always be turned into something if I do certain things. And I've been deep diving into marketing and sales process, along with one of the most important things when it comes to marketing and sales, social psychology, what makes people tick, what makes people buy, what makes people like you, what makes people trust you. All of these things you've got to consider when you're trying to sell to a stranger. And the social strategy that I'm going to share with you today has helped not just my own. So it's not just my own bias here. We have helped hundreds of people get that word consistency into their lead flow, into their pipeline, into their sales opportunity list. Consistency comes from a steady flow of work, which I'm going to be sharing with you. And that key sentence at the bottom there is what I want to highlight. Everything that I'm going to be sharing with you today has been proven, not just once, but lots of times over and over and over and over again. Now, if you don't believe me, all you've got to do is scan that QR code or just type in Chris Taylor social selling on LinkedIn and don't follow me. Come and connect with me. I've got a few connection spots left. I'm getting close to that 30,000 mark, but come and connect with me. And for those of you that do, send me the message workshop. If we're already connected, right, just send me the word workshop anyway. And what I do is I add everybody to a prize draw. And then in that prize draw, I pick 3 people that I then give complete, full end-to-end social media audits on. So completely free. I will look at everything that you're doing end-to-end, and I will then give you feedback via a video like this. I'll record a loop and I'll send it to you. So anybody that like is connected to me on LinkedIn, send me the word workshop, let me know, and I'll add you to that prize draw. 3 of you will get to do that. But if you look in my images, you look in my content, you will see for the last few years, I have been quite relentless when it comes to building my brand, building my reputation. And with that, what I'm going to do for you today is what I do for lots and lots of people every single day. I'm going to share my view on things. I'm going to talk to you about what's working and where we believe your business. Now, again, I'm not talking one-to-one to you right now. There's lots of different businesses on here. And what I'm going to try and do, what it would be really good to know is what does your business do in the chat box for me so I can kind of get a bit of an idea. Just let me know, because I will then kind of group you together and focus in on different areas. But this word focus is the thing that, again, another word that I want you to write down. And just as I look down here, we've got accountants, HR consultant, perfect, health programs, inventors, coaching inventors, should I say, service offices. So yeah, love that. Industrial air pollution, social media marketing for property. Okay, cool. So we've got, I guess, consulting, professional services, and then actually we've got like an ad hoc where there's a huge variety of different businesses coming in now. So I'm going to try my best to try and cover as many of those as I possibly can as I go through this. So I appreciate that. That is amazing. Now, even through the tough periods, right, business, we've been very fortunate. Now, we're not a multi-million pound company, right? I'm not here to tell you that. That was not what I set out to build. It's not what I wanted to do. I wanted to build a company that would fulfill me, number one. So allow me to do the things that I love, which is speaking, helping. I'm a bit of a teacher. Like, I love seeing people get a result. It's the thing that fuels my ego. I probably shouldn't say this stuff, but like it really is. And I also then wanted something which gave me monthly recurring revenue, right? That was another thing that I wanted. So do you know what? If I wanted to take some time away, I could. And today's session, this is all about growing month on month, and that comes from consistency. However, like, I need permission from you at this point before I go in. Otherwise, it's not for you. What I need you to be is open-minded. I need you to think about potentially changing quite a few things as what you're doing right now. And I want you to look for constant improvement. And I want every single person, if you are here and you are willing to put the word yes in the chat box, if I have permission to give you the honest advice as what's working. If that is the case, I will happily crack on. If it isn't, this is just your time to leave, because there are times I get called quite blunt and direct at times, and I'm trying to hold that back a bit, because it's not always that helpful. I will give you like the honest truth. I will be direct, but I'm going to do it in a way that enables you to really see the changes that you can make and accept them. That's what I'm going to try and do. Anyway, you'll have to give me feedback at the end. Now, last week, I had 25 different conversations. It was actually around 27, 28. And all of them were telling me very, very similar things. Number one is growing their audience online, whether it is LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, whatever social media platform it is, they're finding it harder to grow. Number one. The second thing is, for those of you that have got email lists, that's also becoming harder to grow as well. Like, so where you were getting maybe 10, 20 a week organically, now you're getting 1 or 2, and you don't really know what you're doing wrong because you're still doing the same things. Number 3 is that they're getting it or finding it harder to get sales calls booked in as well. So all of the activity that they were doing, finding it more difficult. And then to top it all up, referrals are also drying up. And so where people were quite heavily reliant on word of mouth and referrals, that is no longer as frequent as it was. And today we have that specific focus on LinkedIn and live webinars. So I'm going to show you the answers to what you need to do to get through 1, 2, 3, and 4 and get it working for you. Now, I've broken it down into 3 sections. Section number 1 is going to be on process. Section number 2 is then going to be on promotion. And section number 3 is then going to be on profit. So the conversion part of what we're doing. Now, before I get started, there's one more big question I need to ask you. And again, for those of you that are here right now, it's really important that I get this info. When I work with someone, whenever I work with a business, there are typically 3 types. Number 1 is you're in a position where you've already generated some business, maybe struggled at the beginning to get going, saw some success, and are now finding it harder again. So your lead flow is very like feast and famine. So you market hard, generate some clients, then you have to deliver, and then you have to stop marketing. And then after you've delivered, you then have to start marketing again. So feast and famine is number 1. That is probably one of the most common that we work with. Number 2 is that you're just getting going, right? So you're just looking for some general direction to get things off the ground properly. And then number 3 is that it's going okay actually at the moment, but what I'm looking for is some insight and tactics on how to scale faster. So again, I always take the average of this. Could I just get a bit of an idea of where you're at? Number 1, number 2, or number 3 for me, please? That would be amazing. Now I'm going to have to use my eyes here to really track where everybody is. So the majority are looking at 1s and 2s. There's a few number 3s coming through as well, which is fine. So I will cover every angle anyway, so you don't need to worry. It's mainly just for my like interest, this, just so I can kind of see the different types of business that we've got. So that is amazing. So we've got a lot of professional services, consulting-based businesses, and then a bit of ad hoc. And then we've got the majority are either been going for a little while, it's just got a bit harder, and then also just getting started. And then there's a few of you which are going okay currently, but looking for insight into how to scale faster. Perfect. Thank you very much. So let's get into process, right? So this is the bit that, look, process isn't the most sexy thing in the world, I know. I mean, I kind of love it because, again, it gives me control. So I get really excited at this point. But a lot of you will be like, process, are you kidding me? Like, please bear with me on it. Take it all in as much as you possibly can, because this is the game changer. So this is what you need to have in place to consistently generate sales for yourself. So when I look at this in its entirety, unfortunately, there are lots of different businesses out there using social right now, and lots of them are setting themselves up to fail, okay? And the reason is because they are unclear on 3 things. Number one is their signature offer, which I'm going to be taking you through, right? And you would have heard loads of people talk about offers. I've got a very simplistic view on offers of how to make them work. Number two, then, is their traffic source. So, how to get traffic consistently. What I mean by traffic is like new people inquiring with them, right? So, new people coming, looking at you, seeing what you're about, and then inquiring with you. And then number three is a sales process. So, one, two, and three, they are the three things that hold. When I look at most business, there's normally one of those things, if not two, if not all, that are preventing people to see consistent lead flow from a platform like LinkedIn or using webinars. And I'm going to be talking about traffic and process very shortly. So that's like part two and part three. But where I want to start with this is your offer, because if you don't get this right, none of the other stuff works. And I'm not going to spend that long on it, because most of the people I speak to at the moment pretty much default to selling their time for money, right? So they're selling it because that's all they kind of know. They are in businesses where they have to give, right? That's the position that they're in. And the issue that it has when you frame, I'm going to choose coaching because that came up, right? When you frame that you're just a coach and you provide coaching sessions, people don't quite understand what they're buying. And therefore, you end up losing quite a lot of opportunity because there's no urgency, there's no real desire. And most importantly, it's not linked to an outcome that makes people really want it. And so the first like big, I guess, tip from today is the first step is identifying not what your audience need right now, right? Not when it comes to marketing and sales, it's not what they need, it's what they want, right? What do these people really want? And I'm going to give you an example of this in a second. But it's also what can you then deliver without burning out? That's a big thing, right? You don't want to throw all your time into marketing and sales and then have to throw all of your time into delivery. Depending on your business, right? You've got different businesses out here. And again, the LinkedIn stuff is coming. Do not worry. When you present your offer, what should happen is that after they have finished watching a webinar of yours or looking at an article that you've written and then presented an offer, or when you go out there and you start to promote, if you're not getting a reaction of, oh my, I need that, right? I really need that. There's work to do in the way that you're creating, or your target market just hasn't been warmed up enough. And so this is your time to be, again, participate with me. If I was going to ask you what your offer is, are you brave enough to put it? And again, there might be people that see this in the chat that then reach out because they want it, right? What is your offer, right? What is it that you currently put out into the market? Some of you, I saw there was somebody with sell office space on here, right? So that could be come and buy some office space. But if it's office space, is it a 6-month contract for a beautiful office? What is it? Like, I want to know the information because if I know your starting point, I can help you. Now, I'm going to showcase to you one of mine, right? So back in February 2020, some of you might have been following me back then, but I used to sell an Instagram 2-day masterclass, right? So I used to, it was such hard work. I used to be on Instagram consistently. I used to network, go public speaking. I used to do loads of things. And then I used to sell like a ticket to this masterclass, which was 500 quid to come along. And there's 7 people in that room there, right? And that was like 3.5 grand worth of sales. By the time that I'd paid the Hilton for the room, like I look at it and I'm like, I'm not even really making anything here, like with this. And what happened in March 2020, you don't need reminding of, we all know, right? But it forced me to make a change. And to be fair, it was a very welcome change because an Instagram 2-day masterclass didn't really say on the tin what people were going to get. And that was actually a realization as to why they weren't buying it. And so I switched it. So I've worked out, like, right, what outcome do people want? And I thought, okay, well, they want to know how to build a following and they want to know how to build it quickly. And if I could gamify it, it's probably going to be more enjoyable. So I was like, right, how to gain 1,000 followers in 30 days? It's an online challenge. Now, the Instagram 2-day course was a great product. Like the results for the people that attended it were insane. Like my testimonials on my account, you can go and look at all my recommendations. People love what we do, and I'm really proud to say that. But what I did was I took that information, I just broke it down. So I'm like day 1, day 2, day 3, day 4, all the way across, right through account optimization, all the way through to consistency. And every single day it drip fed new content. And where before, like I was just selling that 2-day masterclass and I was struggling. I remember running a webinar at the end of March, and then I ran a series of them in April. It was £300 a ticket, right? 300 quid a ticket. And I'm going to be having a look through your offers in a second, guys. So please don't think I'm ignoring them. But £300 a ticket, where I made 3.5 grand on the first 2-day masterclass, right? That masterclass that I mentioned. That April, you can see the spikes from when I ran the webinars. We put 25 grand in the bank in the month. Now, I hadn't ever made that much money, like from an info product like that before. But actually, I realized that I didn't actually have to do anything apart from the live Q&As at that point. Like the content was in a program, it was being delivered. I didn't have to do anything. Now, that's just one business that I've had. I've had an agency business, I've had a property business before. But that was a big, real realization for me. And as much as I have that realization, right, it's not just me, because we spend hours working on offers with our clients, like absolutely hours. And I'm going to list off a few here. So for those of you that sell by the hour right now, Sasha I worked with a couple of years ago, and she was selling a virtual assistant, executive assistant service. So she supports neurodivergent business owners with virtual team administration. Now, rather than selling it by the hour, we were looking at it and like, well, she was my PA at the time, right? So I was using her as a virtual PA. And I was saying to her, I was like, look, what I want is I want X, Y, and Z doing for me. I want to know what the monthly cost is going to be every month without fail. And I want you to do it for me. That was what I wanted. And then straight away, like we made those changes and she started to put that package out there to more and more people. And from that, she then was able to get that result there. So by suddenly going from a per hour fighting for business to a 12-month contract, she able to scale consistently, right? Just by reframing her offer, right? That was all she did, reframed her offer. She did everything else the same, but she made it something that was really easy for me as a business owner to go, yeah, I want that. And if I said that, everyone else is doing it in the exact same way. There's another person that we work with called Jamie. Now, Jamie had a 2-day property training that he wanted to launch. Instead of just creating another 2-day property training course, we're like, look, switch it up, make it outcome focused, get your first property deal in 84 days. Jamie's results are insane, to be fair, like from webinars. He launched to an audience that he'd warmed up after a while and did some amazing results in April to May there. You can see on the right-hand side. Darren went from one-to-one consulting. So for you consultants out there, he went from one-to-one consulting to a program. So this is Power Remove the Guesswork. You can see the Instagram account there. Darren went then and built out the funnel, so the webinar funnel. So in landing page, into your webinar, use LinkedIn, use Instagram to be able to do it. And with that, they were his results over a year. So the big thing with Darren was consistency. That was what we wanted. And so that was he was using ClickFunnels at the time. That was his ClickFunnels account and the results that he was getting. Now, consistency in sales comes from setting yourself up to be able to create monthly revenue, really. Like that's one of the biggest things I want to try and get across to you today. Monthly revenue allows you to stack your revenue month in, month out. And it also removes a bit of the pressure to have to sell all the time. So your offer is just a really big place to start. And now those examples there, right, they may or may not be relevant for you, but do they at least get you thinking that you could maybe improve your offer? If that's true, just put the word yes in there. If it isn't and you're all good, don't worry about answering. Totally fine. I just want to kind of see if people think that there are some potential improvements to make. And if you're not too sure how, don't worry. Right? I do offer calls out to speak to people about this anyway, and I'll be more than happy to speak to you if you need some help with it. Right? So great. There's a few of you that have related to it. Now, the way that we see consistent results is because we are simplifying what I believe so many are overcomplicating. So where people are doing this, doing that, they're over here, they're over there, networking, Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook ads, doing all these different things, we narrow down and we go, right, we're going to focus in on getting one traffic source working. One traffic source we're going to take. So in this case, it's going to be LinkedIn. We're going to take LinkedIn, and I'm going to show you everything that you need to do with LinkedIn in a second. You take LinkedIn, you then drive that into a sales process, which will convert when you build it the right way, right? So will convert when you build it the right way. And then you're going to drive them at the end of that sales process to a signature offer that's framed in the way that I've just mentioned to you before, right? So outcome focused, links to what people want at a price point that people look at and go, that is just an absolute no-brainer. So traffic sources, we help people with multiple traffic sources, both organic and paid. But with it, you've got traffic sources of LinkedIn for today, sales process, which is going to be email lists and webinar for today. And the signature offer is whatever you want to sell. Traffic source, sales process, signature offer. You do not need to go more complicated than that to be able to start seeing consistent results from your social activity. To give you an example of one, you can see ours here. So our traffic on LinkedIn, right? This is what we do on LinkedIn currently. We prospect, right? So we network build, and I'm going to be going into more detail of this in a second. We prospect, we post, and we're always looking for strategic partners, okay? We then drive people into what we call a lead magnet. Now, the lead magnet that is the most popular is we have a guide that has 100 content ideas in it. And those content ideas are specifically linked to turning content to clients, totally free. It's a guide. And with that, it's downloaded quite a lot. And if you would like a copy of that guide, just put the word 100 in the chat, or the number 100 in the chat, and my team will send it to you afterwards. So you've got it via email, right? Lead magnet with 100 content ideas. That then collects the email address. Once we've got the email address, we then drive people to a webinar like this. So I've run loads in the past. This is a LinkedIn and live webinars one, but we've run content to clients masterclasses before. These masterclasses, I'm going to be teaching you the structure of them at part 3 of today. But then from there, at the end of the masterclass, you talk about your service and then you introduce a strategy call. And at the end of the strategy call, we then drive people into our program, which is called the Social Selling Academy, which undercuts every other program pretty much out there, right? So we're very in a strong position when it comes to pricing to work with us on a one-to-one basis, right? So that's what we do: signature offer, sales process, and traffic. Now, of course, there are some things that you need to get right for this to work consistently. The first thing is what I believe is your message. Right? So the words, the language, the things that you're putting out there to attract the right people. Your lead magnet then has to be something that people want. So did you see how many people put the word 1 or the number 100 in the chat box just then? If that was a crap lead magnet, the response would have been crickets, would have been no one. And I can imagine that there might be a few people where are putting lead magnets out there. I know of a couple because we're working on them at the moment, that when they put them out there, they don't get any downloads. Now, that isn't because your audience are ignoring you. It's purely because the lead magnet isn't titled and hasn't got the desirable nature that it needs to be able to attract a mass amount of the right people. So your lead magnet has to be something that people want, and that's something that we need to talk about in a lot of detail. Your webinar then must also link to the lead magnet. So what lots of people do is they have a random lead magnet and then they have a random webinar and they try and link them together. You're kind of losing the connection with that. So what we try to do is have 100 content ideas, then turn content to clients masterclass. So it's linked subtly. And then that also is linked to the offer, right? So the offer then has to be, and I know this is common sense, but sometimes it's like the most common things that we have to be reminded of. But the offer has to link to the webinar has to link to the email list, and the email list lead magnet needs to be linked to our social media profiles. At each of these points, the reason why I know that this works every month with us without fail is because we have metrics in place that we need to hit. And if we hit them, we remove the guesswork. There is no hope. I know that if I could put in 100 people at the top end, that is going to enable me to get 50% of them through to my email list, which is then going to get me at least 20 of them coming to a webinar, which is then going to give me at least 2 people booking in a sales call. They're small numbers, right? Now, again, with that, we work on much higher volumes. But even if you're just after 1 client a month right now, whereas some people are after, I mean, again, if you want to switch this to just send it to me, so to only send it to host and panelist, and I'm just going to turn that on, right? So you can only chat with me right now. What I want to know is how many clients are you looking for per month, right? Just so I can kind of be realistic with this. Some of you would be happy with 1 a month, I'm sure. Some of you 4, some of you 10, some of you 100, right? It all depends on your business model. And with that, determining, so I've got a big, just so you know, you can't all see the answers, but I've got a range between 1 and 10 with a few that are a lot more. Your sales number target should be determining the activity that you're doing elsewhere. And if you don't understand how to work it backwards, that's one of the biggest hurdles that you've got to try and overcome. Now, these are some others that we've worked on in the past. So these are some other different processes that we have built. Thank you very much for your answers, guys. I appreciate it. We've got LinkedIn into a lead magnet, which is a guide to getting your life back on track in 2025. That's one lead magnet we created. We then had a webinar, which is how to take control of your life. And that was a webinar for people that are struggling, feeling a bit lost, lacking purpose, right? It's very outcome focused with the way that we named it, like leading that into a strategy call and then selling a 90-day breakthrough program. We then also had a professional services business. So I worked with a mortgage broker. And with that, we noticed that lots of people being ripped off when buying their first home. So we created a lead magnet, which is the guide to buying your first home without being ripped off. Out of interest, and now I'm curious right now, who would have been interested in that guide when they were buying their first home? Give me a yes in the chat if that would have been useful for you, right? You've got to think of the ideas that are going to really help people at a time that they really need it. And so the guide then linked to him running a Buy Your First Property in 2025 Masterclass. Now, he focused in on the basics of property from his experience, but then also the importance of getting the right mortgage. That then allowed him to book in a strategy call. And then from there, people booking onto his mortgage service and getting the mortgage through him when they were ready. Can you all start to suddenly see, and I'm going to open the chat box up so you can all talk to everybody again if you want to, but can you now start to see how suddenly just by linking these things together, it's going to make a difference, right? You just start putting your activity with something of value for free that builds your email list up. Then if you start to run a webinar, it's linked together. You then be able to put through a service at the end of that is also then linked, right? So a few of you that are saying, yes, maybe there's a few that you just need a bit more warming up, which is totally fine. But this stuff has to be linked together. Chris Pownell, that's totally fine, not a problem at all. We then have promotion, right? So process is done. We now move into promotion. So we start with profile. This is your shop window. So lots of people negate their LinkedIn profiles, right? So we're moving into LinkedIn now. But people are going to be viewing your LinkedIn profile every single day. And we therefore need to make sure that we're capitalizing on every opportunity that we can. So we've got to understand what our audience want, number one. We've then got to take the time to identify what our audience are also engaging with. So no matter who you are, no matter who you're targeting, you can go and find their profiles, scroll down a little bit into their activity section, and you can then see everything that they've commented on, everything that they have posted. That gives you a bit of an idea in sort of the content that they're interested in. And again, I don't want you to answer me here, right? But if I was to look at your LinkedIn profiles right now, my question is always, like, what version of you am I going to see? Is it going to show off how great you are? Or is it going to fall a little bit short? It's sometimes a bit of a hard truth. This is one of the hard things that I have to tell people when I speak to them. But so many, when I look at their profiles, are showing the most boring version of themselves. And what you really want to be doing when you're out networking or when you're out meeting someone or when you're talking to a customer, they get to see the best version of you. They get to see the passion, the enthusiasm, how much you love what you do. But when I look at your LinkedIn profile, I don't see that. I see the person that can't really be asked to use social media, but is doing it because someone told them it's the way to generate business. And so the biggest thing we need to change right at the front end is your mindset to the way that we work on this, because your profile must showcase the best version of you at all times, because it's going to be working on behalf of you every day. If you've got your services section set up and you've got your links set up, if your profile is right, you will see people inquiring. Your about section, right? You can look at mine and almost copy the layout if you want. We optimize profiles every day, but I've got a little bit about me and what I help people with. I've then got our service. I've then got how you can talk to me, broken down really clearly with different assets that you can go and see for free to check me out and see if I'm worthwhile working with. I've also then got shed loads of recommendations. That should be closer to 100 now, really. Even I've been slacking on recommendations. But you can see people will check this out. Craig White, Chris was incredibly helpful. This was back in August. Like, I should be having so many more. So even me here, I'm sitting here telling you that I'm not perfect. However, like, there are enough on there for people to click on show all and see what everyone's been saying about me. That is credibility, right? People are publicly saying that they don't mind working with me. You then have your featured section. So your featured section is where you should be having all of your next logical steps. So any free resources that you've got that collect email addresses, any webinars that you're running, you need to optimize this account very, very simply. It will take you half an hour. Half an hour, optimize that account and get things on there that people want and also are going to really need. Okay. We then move into prospecting. So prospecting is a point where we don't sit back and wait for business to come to us. We go out there and we get it for ourselves. So you need to be connecting with your potential customers every single day. Just go and search for their job titles to begin with. There's more advanced ways of doing it, but keep things simple. Once they then accept, you need to be direct messaging them to begin the nurturing process. Now, I know lots of you don't like direct messaging, but I'm going to be showing you an approach right now that you will enjoy and won't mind, or you wouldn't have mind receiving anyway. So you've got to max out your limits. You can send between 50 and 100 a day. Now, with that, you may hit your connection limits pretty quickly. So all I'm doing you with those numbers is just allowing you to hit your limits. Once you get told you've hit your limit, stop and wait for a week. Automation tools are something that people talk about a lot. I do use them, right? And again, with them, I'm going to be talking you through how we use them. Now, with it, they are a taboo subject, but I'm just going to be truthful with you. We start 20 to 30 relationships every single day. We acquire 5 to 10 email addresses and are constantly adding value to anyone that we have in our networks. And this activity then compounds. So the numbers might be a bit small on screen here, but this campaign work here, bit of software called Meet Alfred, 745 invites, 1,000, 1,400, 833, 960. Out of these, you can see the amount that have accepted. So the conversion rates are around about that 40 to 50% mark. And then with that, you can see the replies, 90, 28, 188, 171. The message that gets sent is a value add message, right? So people have copied this all the time. They do it their own version. It's totally fine. But with it, the lead magnet matters. The webinar matters. What you're putting out there matters. And so my message is, I don't want to talk to you. I know you don't want to talk to me, but I said to you I was going to add value. If you connected to me, here is that value. What I get in response to that is a load of people thanking me, which lots of people can't even get responses from direct messages. I not only get thank yous, but then people going on to utilize our free resources. My question to you is prospecting something that you need to begin doing, or is it something you need to improve on? Because if you aren't seeing consistent results from your prospecting, then again, there's areas to develop. So prospecting is something on LinkedIn that you can use to fill your pipeline. We then have posting, right? So we all know we should be putting content out there, and that's to support the goal of creating consistent lead flow. You can see the photo on the right-hand side. Yeah, right. You can see that that's a photo that I posted when I had my property business. And the role of content is the first thing to understand. The first role is to encourage more of the right people to follow you or connect with you. That's your first role. Being somebody that people see in the newsfeed that they go, oh, that looks interesting, click, connect, and follow. The second is then to generate inbound inquiries, so inbound leads. Your audience will never solely, like if you're in its entirety, will never solely include your dream clients. It's going to be a combination of your friends, people that just want to support you, and also then your potential clients that you're working with. Here's a big revelation that you will all know. And again, if you agree with me on this, put a yes in the chat. It's quite rare for your potential clients to engage, right? You don't really see them in the comment section. You're creating content for them, but they're never there, right? I can promise you they are watching, right? They are lurking in the background, watching. Nicola's bang on the money with the language. I love that language, lurking away in the background. Your content strategy, therefore, needs to be a blend of how your business is going to make an impact. So you're focusing in on what people want from your type of business. So if you're a leadership consultant, what can managers be doing day to day to improve their teams? Talking about it, utilizing world topics, right, to be able to bring it and make it extremely relevant. The second part of your content strategy needs to showcase what you're passionate about. So impressions and creating discussion. And the third bit is the bit that most people don't like to hear, which is video content. And that is purely so people can hear you, so they can see you, and so you can build up dwell time, which inevitably then builds credibility and trust. The big thing with this is people do not want perfection. They're not after that. What they want is real and honest. People are fed up. They're seeing through more and more of the BS by the hour. Now, again, you'll probably agree. Just give me a yes in the chat, right? Are you someone that's now started to see through a bit of the BS that's out there right now? I know I am. Like, it is so obvious out there. So don't try and be perfect. Be literally like your most authentic. I hate the word authentic, right? But be the most real version of you that you can. Share what you're thinking, share what you're feeling. Like, really focus in on how you make a difference. This is the sort of caption that I use, like, again, with it. So this was about, I was looking at raising property, like money for investment, right? It's one of the things that I was doing. So I was sharing with people the results that a certain house was making us on Airbnb, right? That was one of my first businesses. That was what I did. Philippa Nicholson did this extremely well. So Philippa Nicholson's in recruitment, and she shared this post, which was about neurodiversity and refusing to work with a client. That post got 5,500 reactions, 591 comments. And that was what she then shared about a week later. When you get the right content out there and you talk about the right things, you will get this amount of reach. And so with it, she went from 7,000 to 7,600 followers. She had over 50 messages thanking her. 5 bespoke package proposals went out. 32 messages of people wanting to work with her. That's candidates and clients. The right content strategy will give you inbound, but when you've got then the process that's connected to it, that's where the difference is made. With webinars, you also then have on LinkedIn events. So they were a lot more powerful before than they are now, but we still use them for every webinar that we run. People have lots of low-hanging fruit in their networks. We have generated in total over 17,500 email addresses for free using LinkedIn events. When you set one up on LinkedIn and put your Zoom link in where you run your webinar, you can invite 1,000 of your connections per week. You then automate, using Meet Alfred, automate a follow-up message to anyone that says yes, and that then drives valuable webinar registrations that will in time generate you some business. The majority of your registrations will click yes. So again, you can see here, we had 1,400 people say yes to wanting to attend an event last year in August, but lots of them forget to then register. So you use the automation to help drive more and more people to the actual Zoom registration link. Really, really powerful way of being able to capture attention as we go through. So that's the promotional part. We then move into profit. So this is how you then take that connection on LinkedIn and turn them into business, okay? So coming back to the way in which we do things, right? I've covered offer, I've covered traffic. Now I'm going to cover the sales process part. So webinars are the conversion piece of content that I'm focusing on today. And what you don't know is that we work with people on this process every single day. So the offer, the funnel, the slide deck, the promotion, delivery, the consistency. And the reason we have so much success with the people we work with is because we review everything. So I watch people's webinars every day. I give them feedback on it. I look at their process, their funnels, their lead magnets. And I know that running a webinar can seem daunting at the beginning, but you're going to get more confident the way that you do it, just like these people have. Jessica was a consultant selling corporate training. Odile was a mindset coach selling one-to-one clients. Fred was running a sales agency. And Joanne was a transformation consultant, right? We work with a number of different businesses, all have been able to create a version of a webinar to drive people from LinkedIn to becoming a customer. Because all you're doing really, right, is understanding what you need to say to get people to understand how good you are at what you do, right? With a webinar, the reason why there's such a powerful way to generate business is because they offer like a mindset shift piece of content, right? So it enables you to position yourself as an expert and like you know what the solution is to your customer. They also give you the ability to be able to build relationships on a one-to-many basis. So there are over 100 of you online right now. I'm talking to you all, not just one of you, I'm talking to you all. Your potential clients might not also be ready to book a call in with you right away. So a webinar gives them a way to come and check you out. We've created webinars for a huge range of businesses, from coaches and consultants, professional services, recruitment, SaaS providers, health and wellness, event planning, travel services. The list literally goes on. Like, I personally help people write them with my business partner, Nick. And there's some key questions that you need to ask. The second one, after that one, is what are you going to run your webinar on? So understanding your target market struggles and problems and what they want to achieve is your first step, right? And Lorna's gone through this process with us. You don't want to choose a webinar subject that makes people admit that they don't like something that they don't want to admit. So you don't want them to say they're weak or they're struggling. What you want it to be is something that's outcome focused, wherever you possibly can. So it's got a positive connotation to it rather than overcoming a negative. If you can identify trends, like any big discussion areas or topics of interests, these are really good things to latch onto. So take your time, you can do some research, you see what's popular, and then you see maybe where you'll be able to take someone's idea and improve on it, right? So you don't have to invent something new. There will be someone out there running a webinar in your space that you can look at and go, right, I'm now going to make that better. Lorna ran her first one. She got 85 people registered. 26 people showed up, and all of them stayed to the end. And I made a total rookie error by getting my own online diary link wrong. However, she got 7 breakthrough calls booked, and she got 2 clients signed up. That's by running her first webinar. When you get your first one, though, you then run more and more and more and more. The third question is, how do you get people to consistently register and then show up? So a few of you asked this question at the beginning, something that Donna was asking as well. This is actually the most challenging part, and it's something that you have to keep working on. Registrations come from interest in your webinar subject. So if the first thing that when your registrations are low, it's normally because your audience aren't interested in the subject. So that's the first place to look. Then it's the way that you position yourself, and then it's the way that you build your audience. Your show up rates are determined by reminder sequences, so making sure that reminders are sent out. Out of interest, who here received a reminder to this webinar today, last week? Just give me a yes if you received the reminder. That's something that encourages people to come along. It makes people in the copy, makes them feel like they're going to miss something. And you're going to have moments where your numbers dip, but you're going to use a combination of direct messages, you're going to use LinkedIn events, your email list, and then also collaborations to help drive that number up. Donna sent me her presentation deck that we built together. I looked at it, gave her some feedback. She had 80 people register, right? 33 people attended, 2 people booked the application. We then looked at it and we got the results back. She signed 2 people up. So the 2 people that booked then bought from her. At that point, then we continued to run them. And in March, she went from getting only 2 calls to suddenly having all of her spaces booked up. So she was able to run one every month from November to March and just keep those numbers topping up by changing webinar subjects, by changing the way that she was promoting it in the same way. The final key question, right, is how do you run one without giving away too much information? We do not want to overstuff and teach too much in this. The art and science of a high converting webinar isn't to teach, but to help people understand why they need to work with you. In your webinar, you will highlight what these people are struggling with, how you know they're struggling with it, how you've figured out the answers, and then at the end, introduce your service. Alison, I'm not going to read this out for you, but you can see the level of feedback that we're giving. We're watching the webinar minute by minute, giving her feedback, and then bang, off the back of the feedback, 2 new clients off the back of the webinar. Really strong result. The piece that so many forget as we go through this is now the stats, right? So you need to be tracking everything that you're doing. Audience growth, how many messages you're sending, email addresses collected, webinar registrations, webinar attendees, sales call bookings, and then revenue. We do this with every single person. You can see they present the stats back to us, 329, 17 calls. They then get feedback based on the numbers and the webinar recording. We then got 200 and then 14 more calls to complete. This stuff then just goes on and on and on and on. And to summarize today, the majority of people, the majority of you on here, you're not struggling because you're not skilled. You aren't struggling because you're not working hard enough or because you're literally just lacking the traffic source, their sales process, and the signature offer connected together. And some of you will feel like you've got enough from today, which is great, which is perfect. Like, go and apply it. I love it. But I know there will be a few of you that would like some further support, some training, and some accountability on getting this right. And the Social Selling Academy is something which we created to help people with the training, one-to-one accountability, because that's what people want. They know what they need to do, but they need someone to get them to do it. They also want mentoring, so live weekly sessions, both in group and then also every month a one-to-one. And also then technology and data analysis to help them understand. So Meet Alfred Analytics, helping them understand what to change and when to change them. Our academy is for anyone and everyone who's looking for a helping hand to grow their business consistently. So first off, you can't just join this. We need to speak for 30 minutes. I'm going to give you the link to do that in a second to see if your business is right. We then set out on a 12-month journey together that allows us to build out your social selling campaign on a one-to-one basis. We begin with an initial strategy session, which I'm going to be talking to you about in a second, because it's a very, very detailed session. You then gain access to our training program, which then takes you on a journey from adapting your offer to creating your message to show you then how to build out that sales process. Like we will check to make sure everything is right. We then show you how to create that converting webinar so you can generate business every month. And then we build the systems to give you your time back, which then prevents that feast and famine issue that I mentioned. Every month, we speak one-to-one, whether it's me or my business partner, Nick, for 30 minutes to review your progress, making sure that we've done the work required and talking through how the process is going and where to improve. The reason so many love working with us is purely down to the feedback, right? And also because the cost you make from one webinar, right? It's £250 a month that it costs to work with us. You run one webinar, then you run 11 more, right? You've seen a handful of the results that we've generated over the last few years. I just need you to want to do the work with us, right? And we will show you this process firsthand, just like you've experienced today. Like you start to see the wins and we improve. And when people ask how we continue to grow every day, it comes down to the same thing that I mentioned. One traffic source, one sales process, and one offer. And that's what we're going to build together. Okay. So here's how it works. I'm going to pop the link in the chat box for you. So you've all got it. So the link to book a call in with me. These are today, tomorrow, and Friday. It's a strategy call. That's the link to be able to do it. There are some questions that I need answering, right? £250 a month, broken down. You don't pay us up front. It's all there for you to be able to go through, right? But you're going to get everything that's listed there for you. I'm going to go through a Q&A quickly in a second as we go through. But with it, you've got the QR code there that you can scan as well. And with it, I know that it's now bang on the hour, right? So you've got the QR code to scan. I'm also going to give a 2-hour strategy session. We've got 20 hours dedicated, so there's 10 spots available. For the first 10 of you that join us and take that time, like you get a 2-hour one-to-one session or 2-to-1 session, because it's me and Nick and you on the call working on your strategy. That's included for £250 a month. You also then get to attend our mastermind, right? So our mastermind is every quarter. Next one's on the 30th of June. We feed you, you get beverages, and with it, we go through this. So you can see mastermind, workshop, we have a keynote. With there, we also go through practical doing stuff on the day as well. And then there's time for networking and creating a plan at the end. So that is also included for the £250 a month for 12 months. I actually have a call literally right now, which I'm going to be late for. But this here, I'm going to quickly scan to just double check the questions and make sure I've got everything. For those of you that are still here, was that all okay for you? Was that helpful? Gave you some information that you can now take away and use? Any feedback would be great. So with that, I'm taking advantage of LinkedIn project section of my profile. Be honest, is less more? Is it worth filling out the profile to the brim? No, it's not worth like filling it out like completely. Like get it done so it just gets straight to the point. Don't waffle. Donna, will there be a replay of the workshop? Yes, there will. What are your thoughts on keeping your connections low but you're following higher? I use connections because you can message when you're connected. So I max out my connections where I can. When I go to add connects in LinkedIn, it appears to just give me a list of people I already follow. How do I open it up to others? If you drop me a message on that one, Donna, privately, I'll let you know. Long form or short content, what are your thoughts? I always think it's a blend of both. So the Q&As as well. So I apologize that I've got to go quickly on this one. The link is there for you guys if you want to book that call in to come and speak to me about your strategy. I look forward to hearing from you. I look forward to getting any feedback that you can send me on LinkedIn. Have an amazing day. Have an amazing evening, no matter what time you're watching this. And I will see you all very, very soon. Thank you very much and goodbye.